All right, so good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our first skilled trades work group of the school year. Today we have some really awesome guest speakers. We have Elgin ISD, Austin Community College, and Athena Manufacturing. So our case study is building a local welding talent pipeline through PTECH. My name is Monica Magallanes. I am the new Career and Education Outreach Specialist for Workforce Solutions Capital Area, and I serve AISD and Del Valle ISD. So if you see me around your school, please say hi, and I would love to connect with you. And I will pass it on to Jessica Garay so she can introduce herself, and then we will introduce our guest speakers as well.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for joining Workforce Solutions Capital Area for our first annual K through 12 trades work group. This work group is available to any of our trades partners, school district partners, CTE staff, counselors, job coaches. So we're really glad to have you all. My name is Jessica Durson, and I'm the Director of Career Awareness and K through 12 Partnerships. And I'm joined by some really fantastic partners who have created a really cool PTECH model that I'd like for you all to learn about today. And so I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Robert Block with Elgin ISD to introduce himself.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. My name is Robert Block. I'm the principal of our early college, high school, and PTECH welding programs. I'm also currently acting as the Director of College, Career, and Military Readiness for Elgin ISD. And I am happy to be here this morning to talk about our program. So good morning. Welcome.
All right, we're also joined with our partners at Austin Community College, and I will let Troy introduce himself.
Good morning, I'm Troy DeFreitas. I'm the Department Chair for Welding Technology at ACC. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us, Troy. And then last but definitely not least, our super employer partners, Athena Manufacturing. John and Amy, if you'd like to introduce yourselves.
My name's John Newman. I'm the co-owner of Athena Manufacturing. We're a fabricating and machining company in North Austin, and we have 270 employees. And Troy has been providing me with candidates for a number of years now, and this has really been a great program, and we ought to duplicate it around the state and the nation.
And good morning. I'm Amy Garza, and I'm the Human Resources Manager for Athena Manufacturing. And I must say we are super excited to be here this morning.
And we are super excited to have you all. So as mentioned, Monica, our Career and Education Outreach Specialist serving Austin and Del Valle school districts, will be the moderator today. I will be on standby for technical assistance. And then we have obviously some opportunities for you all to ask questions in the chat. So I will pass it on to Monica and we'll get started.
All right, awesome. So if we can go on to the next slide. Just some virtual housekeeping. I'm sure most of you guys are already pretty familiar with Zoom and our housekeeping rules, but please mute yourself. You can use the chat for any questions you have throughout the presentation. We will address them towards the end, but if you have a question in the middle or towards the beginning, just please put it on the chat and we will make sure to get to it once our guest speakers are done with their part of the presentation. Camera is optional for attendees. It's not required. This presentation will be recorded and we will share with the attendees at the end of the week. So if anyone that has registered, we will go ahead and send it to you. And you can also find it on our website or our YouTube channel. Our YouTube is WFS Capital Area and our website is www.climbtheladderctx.com. So who are these work groups intended for? These work groups are intended for educators, counselors, and instructors. So any school staff, job coaches, advisors, administrators, anyone that is in the school system. Basically, what we want to do is create a pipeline between the staff and the employers and our partners. That way they have the most up-to-date information and they are able to pass along that information to students. Even post-secondary. So anyone that is in the school system are more than welcome to attend these webinars. And it's also a great way to learn about the different industries and see what employers are part of this industry. So again, we have Athena Manufacturing, we have Austin Community College and Elgin ISD today. So I will pass this part on to Jessica. She will go over the labor market information.
Yes, thank you. And I will be quick, but provide you all with some rich information about labor market data. But the question for us all is, what is LMI? LMI stands for Labor Market Information. How do you read labor market information? A lot of it is contextual. When you're looking at raw numbers data, you always want to put it in perspective of either the holistic region or economy or even historical data. So we always like to look at projections, historical trends, or how does this occupation or industry compare to the rest of the market? What are you looking for when you're looking for labor market data? You want to look for trends, especially for young people, counselors, teachers looking at where to invest, career guidance, and any sort of career guidance to students. You want to look for high growing jobs. You want to look for high paying jobs. But most important, you want to make sure that it's an occupation that you fit your personality, your skill set, your hard skills, soft skills, and something that's going to provide you with a good living in the Austin metro area. So we have on our career profiles, which I'll share with you all in a moment, information that is really relevant to having that conversation about what occupations, what careers really fit the students and the young people that are interested. Why is it important? Again, just to make sure that you're able to live in the Austin area or surrounding area and make a really good living for you and your family. So it's really important to look at the data and to make sure you're investing your post-secondary education into something that's going to reward you in the long run. We do provide labor market data request. I can provide this link in the chat. It's available to employers, colleges, students, anyone interested in learning more about the data. So last year, we created these really colorful, dynamic career profiles for 100+ occupations. And on the screen here is our welding occupation. You're going to notice a lot of really rich information, such as annual wages, hourly wages, and then education at entry level. This data is sourced from Texas Workforce Commission. So wages such as salary and hourly may differ from employer to employer or industry to industry. So you definitely want to take that in consideration. It does require a high school diploma or more, but the trends that I've noticed is there are apprenticeship programs, there are associate degrees, level 1 certificates, level 2 certificates that are often required because welding does require a specialized skill set. I did put a star here as an indicator that there are registered apprenticeship programs available for this occupation. There's a projection of over 3,400 welders needed by 2031 in our region. So you definitely know there's a promising trend that once you get training in this occupation, you will be guaranteed a job of some sort. And then the rest of this career profile will go through job duties, what is required of you when you're working in this role, such as use hand welding, flame cutting, hand soldering, or brazing equipment to weld or join metal components, operate safety equipment, examine workpieces for defects, and measure workpieces with straight edges or templates to ensure conformance with specifications. So a lot of jargon there, and there's definitely a lot more skills required that we'll go through a little bit later. On this career profile and all the 100+ that we have short videos, and I'll share one with you here in a second to really dive deep into what that career does. I know a lot of people, they're excited about careers, but they've never really seen it in action. So I recommend, doing your research, going and finding a mentor or a job shadow opportunity, or even watching videos online to learn more about what you're signing up for. On the back of the career profiles, we also have ways for you to get started, and then also related jobs. So other related jobs to a welder would be like a sheet metal mechanic, a machinist, a pipe fitter, a CNC operator. So you definitely, this gives you a visual of where you could probably go maybe after you do welding for a little while. Maybe you want to look into another career. These are related jobs. In terms of the overall industry, we know welding is in manufacturing, it's in construction, and other industries in our region. When looking at the data, in Austin, MSA, so that's Austin and the surrounding areas, there's over 100,000 workers in construction and transit. That makes up 8.2% of the region's workforce, and that industry also has a 2.6 annual growth rate. So it's pretty promising that there's definitely growth for that industry. We also have 135,000 projected workers to be in demand in that industry in the next 10 years. All right, let's look at the welding wages. So according to JobsEQ, which is, they source all of their information from Bureau of Labor Statistics, welders can make at entry up to $16 an hour. Now I like to use ranges. It could be 16 to 18, again, depending on where you work. Median wages would be about $22 to $23 an hour. And then an experienced wage is more $26, $27 an hour. And, you know, with any profession, obviously that changes. The more skill sets you have, the higher chances you have to negotiate a higher wage, and so on. All right, what skills are required for welders? So I've heard time and time again, employers not only look at your hard skills, but they also look at your soft skills. What are soft skills? Soft skills include, number one, the willingness to learn, the willingness to show up on time, to be adaptable, having a strong attention to detail, having self-control, and really importantly is having strong communication skills. If you're not familiar with some of these soft skills or how to develop these soft skills, we have a lot of really good YouTube videos for you all to check out and to share with your students, and to learn how you can adapt and develop those soft skills. Those are very important when looking for a job. In terms of other hard skills that a welder is required to do, as mentioned earlier, flame cutting, hand soldering, brazing equipment, blueprint reading, and basic understanding of mathematics. And so if you're in school or if you're teaching students in school, I highly recommend really getting those mathematics down, blueprint reading. And I also have a list of some more data that I pulled. According to JobsEQ, they're able to look at online resumes compared to online job postings. So when looking at online job postings, a lot of employers have said these skills are required, but they're not able to find enough workers that have these skills. So that includes metal inert gas welding, MIG welding, tape measures, so the ability to read tape measures quickly and to, you know, complete projects, soldering, lathes, power tools, combination squares, manufacturing, assembly, bridge grains, and hand tools. So if you are teaching that in your class, great. If you're learning, great, put that on your resume. But these are some shortage areas that I wanted to point your attention to as you're developing students for the workforce. All right, I have one more video for you all. I know I've talked a lot about data, but this video is very short. It's 2 minutes, and it is about the welding profession.
Welders, cutters, solderers, and brazers use handheld or remotely controlled equipment to join or cut metal parts or to smooth surfaces. These workers study sketches and specifications to understand the full picture of the structure and materials before they start their work. Welders and cutters' tools use high heat to soften the material. Welders use these tools to join metal in a wide variety of industries, from car racing and manufacturing to steel beam construction. Cutters cut and trim metal objects or dismantle large objects such as ships and railroad cars. Work may be outdoors on a scaffold or high platform, or indoors in confined areas. Bending, stooping, and heavy lifting are common. Soldering and brazing workers use molten metal to join two pieces of metal. Soldering involves precision tasks such as forming joins in electronic circuit boards, while brazing uses metals at higher temperatures to, for example, apply coatings to parts for protection against wear and corrosion. Other workers in this field manage machines or robots that perform welding, brazing, soldering, or heat treating tasks. These workers may also operate laser cutters or laser beam machines. Hazards include very hot materials and the intense light created by the arc. While employers are required to provide safely ventilated areas, these workers typically wear safety equipment to prevent injuries. Most positions are full-time. Evenings, weekends, and overtime hours are common. High school education, along with technical and on-the-job training, is typically required to enter these fields. A certification or other skill credential is attractive to employers.
All right. These videos, again, can be found on those career profiles, so they're really informative for your young people, and I hope you use them. I am going to go back to our presentation and then pass it back over to Monica.
All right, thank you. Is there any questions on the presentation so far from anyone? All right, so it looks like no questions. So I will go ahead and pass over the mic to Mr. Block, and then as well as Amy Garza and Troy DeFrades. Jessica, she will be taking over the presentation, so just let her know once you're ready to move on to the next slide. And if anybody has any questions, again, please feel free to put it on the chat and we will address them towards the end.
Okay, thank you. Can you actually go back to the last slide with the logos for our partners? Before I start, just wanted to say again, our program wouldn't be anything without the partnerships we have with Athena Manufacturing, Austin Community College. Mr. Newman, Mrs. Garza, Troy, our department head, have been very involved from the start and have offered nothing but support since day one. So it makes our job easy to kind of work through some of the hurdles on getting a program established and continuing to move forward. So again, very thankful for both them joining the call today to talk about their piece of the greater picture of our PTECH program, and look forward to working with them in the future. My role to start is just to kind of recap our program and talk about the last 4 years. We've entered year 5 this year, so we just had our first graduating class. But I'm going to kind of just start and give an overview of who we are at Elgin High School and Elgin PTECH, our numbers, and then kind of go year by year, as I know some of the folks joining the call are starting their own programs in their districts. So it kind of gives you an idea of where we started and where we ended up at the end of last year. So if you can go to the next slide. Historically, our program, we accept 12 students per cohort, and that's based on equipment and space in our shop. We started in 2018-19 when we applied for the Success grant through the state, and we were awarded the grant, one of several schools to start. And we hit the ground running with trying to figure out the next step on how to start this program, how to build out this program, and fit it. Really, the big challenge has been fitting it into a regular high school schedule. So starting in 18-19, we're a school within a school model. Our welding classes are taught on site at the high school, and then our seniors, for the time being, are actually traveling to Round Rock ACC campus to finish out their senior year, and we'll talk about facilities here shortly. But the industry focus obviously is welding, and our 2 major partners, Athena Manufacturing and Austin Community College. Currently, our class for 22-23 has 36 students, and that's where I think gonna kind of hover as we move forward, because it's 12 kids per cohort, but obviously kids move and leave sometimes, things happen. So all in all, again, we aim for 12 to start, and I think we last year ended with our graduating class with about 7 students remaining in that cohort. So 7 to 10, I think, is more realistic to end after 4 years. Next slide. Something that we had to update since we had our first graduating class is kind of how we ended the year last year with our 7 seniors. So out of the 7 students, all 7 received their level 1 structural certification from ACC, their level 1 pipe certification. All of our students took the OSHA 10 course and received their certs for that, for safety. At the conclusion of the year, we had 3 students complete different components of the AWS level 1 cert, and we had 2 kids graduate with their associate degree out of the 7. One of the really exciting things about the program, and as we saw it kind of come to a close for that class, our first graduating group, is that all 7 of the kids found jobs upon completing the program. So 6 of the students were hired at Athena Manufacturing. We have a couple other secondary partners that we work with too, but one of the other students took a job with one of those partnerships. So at the end of the program, all 7 of the kids that finished the program were employed and had multiple certifications and lots of welding experience to start their careers upon graduation. Also talking about different opportunities, and John can probably speak to this a little bit later. We had 7 students again in the spring semester, senior year last year, do their internship class through ACC, but our partner, Athena Manufacturing, offered to pay them for that experience, which was great. Something that we never talked about on the earlier phases of planning. It just kind of came together as we went year to year. And then John has also offered our students paid summer internships. So between junior and senior year, he's hired, I think 4 or 5 students total now to start that work and get ahead of the game. So opportunities for kids to make some money, incentives for them to continue working hard, seeing the light at the end of the tunnel with getting hired at our partners to become professional welders. So super excited about that. If you go to the next slide, we'll take everyone through again our timeline and just some of our secondary partners in addition to Athena and ACC. Obviously, we're presenting and working with Workforce Solutions. We work with both capital area and rural area, and then One Point Solutions is an ongoing partnership that we have here in town in Elgin, also Southside Market and Barbecue. So I'll kind of make that connection here when we talk about the timeline. But you know, some great partners, some partners that you wouldn't think of initially, but they've worked with us in different capacity to really help the students grow and get prepared for those jobs. You go to the next slide. Okay, so 2018-19, we got the TEA Success Grant, and that was money to start our program. We were awarded the grant in the summer before the school year started. We had to get going right away. So when we sat down and started planning, the first thing we needed to address was equipment for this type of program. There's a lot of equipment that we needed to purchase and outfit our shop and rearrange and plan with our shops. We had multiple meetings with Mr. DeFreitas, ACC, our maintenance, our operations guys, just to kind of figure out the layout of the shop. But that's how we started. The first year was really getting the pieces in place. The students didn't start welding their freshman year. They when they got to campus as freshmen, they started working on TSI so they could potentially continue classes and work towards that associate degree. And we have an elective class that we created for our campus that the students went through as freshmen. But that first year was really just developing the program, looking at the courses, working with the college to outline what classes the kids are going to take each year and how it fits into their schedule. We continued to meet with ACC and our partner at the time, which initially wasn't Athena Manufacturing, but still that idea, just getting in the same room, kind of throwing out ideas. I always talk about with our team, and there's no dumb ideas with this program because this program is very non-traditional. So anything that can be brought to the table needs to be vetted and talked about. If it works, then that's great. And I think everyone has been on board, including our partners, to kind of think outside of the box to how to make this happen year to year. So at the end of the year, we ended up getting the shop ready to go. All of the equipment and new construction was complete with our ventilation, with the booths, with all of our TIG and MIG machines. everything was ready to go. And then we move into the 2019-20 year. You can go next, please. So in 2019-20, we had our first group in the shop working and welding. And that was a big transition year. So for any of you starting a program, when you do get the kids in the shop for the first time working with professors, it took us we had some growing pains just getting them used to the professional environment, not high school. Our professor has been fantastic. Again, another person, I don't know if we would have the success we have without Kyle Nutter as our professor. But we started the first welding course in 2019 in August. And then in January, as we got done with the first fall semester, our industry partner was bought by another company. So we had to kind of hit pause and be resourceful. And we ended up talking to ACC, and Troy connected us to John Newman at Athena. They had worked together in different, in the past, so that was recommended, and we started talking to John, and John was 100% on board to become our new partner. And I think from that point, it's been just moving very fast and very efficient with working with these guys to make sure the kids get all the opportunities they can to be in the shop, to get these real life work-based learning experiences. So that was a big change for us, but also a time of panic when we lost our industry partner and we didn't really know, we were still kind of building the plane as we were flying it. And then on top of that, in March, COVID shut us down. So that was another hurdle we had to get over as we were starting to build this program and try to maintain and keep this program going. When COVID shut us down, we really had to work with the college to look at the classes we were offering. Obviously, every school kind of treated that time period differently, but we weren't in the shop, and Troy was able to move our classes around and collaborate to make sure that the kids could still move forward without hitting pause in their curriculum. So again, good partner, a lot of collaboration and communication. We were able to kind of jump over that hurdle as well. In the summer, we're adjusting to online classes, and then when we move into 2021, the next slide, please. We start to just build on what we had created at that point. So the kids were still working through virtual learning, but we were looking for new partners, additional partners, things that could enhance the curriculum. At this point now, our kids are juniors, and one of the classes that they take a junior year is a fabrication class. So talking to the professor, talking to the department head, Troy, we had this idea of making a connection to Elgin, our community, and the barbecue history here in Elgin. The kids were fabricating things in class. So we threw out the idea of maybe they could fabricate some barbecue smokers. Everyone liked the idea. ACC purchased the equipment and the materials, and we were off and running. So junior year, our kids were introduced to barbecue through welding, and also through our partnership now with Southside Market and Barbecue in Elgin. So met with the owner over there, and he came over to the school, talked to the kids about barbecue, and talked to the kids about the pits, how to use the pits, how they're constructed and the reasons they're constructed the way they are. So it was a really cool connection to our community and the work that the kids were already doing in class. That just came up organically as we, sit down and look at what else we can do to make this experience the best we can for our students. That same year, in the students' junior year, our first, again, leading cohort class, we decided for work-based learning to start visiting Athena manufacturing once a month. We started in the summer and picked all the dates and kind of planned out different activities that the kids could do when they got there. John's been really fantastic with affording us a space on our visits. We go into one of the buildings and they have a big boardroom where all of our kids sit at the big meeting table and get an introduction from our partner, our liaison, one of the workers there, Kyle Naylor. And then from that point, they go into the shop. They do tours, they shadow workers, they look at different pieces of equipment. Several times John has taken the opportunity to just kind of talk to them about the business in general. And really get to know the kids. So we talk about partnerships. This partnership has been fantastic because I feel like everyone is very invested and they see the value in the kids coming through the program. Obviously for Athena, it's a pipeline for employment. Troy has worked with so many students that have went through ACC that have been connected with John and other local business leaders. So everyone has a personal investment in the program, including Southside Market Barbecue, who the CEO, Brian Bracewell, just said, this is my community. So I want to do everything I can to make sure we're producing, high school graduates that have a skill set to go be productive citizens and be employed. So he's on board as well. And then finally, 21-22. You can go to the next slide. Last year, our first senior class, we had another problem a hurdle to jump over. Our shop only has 12 booths, so we were able to have a cohort weld in the morning and then another one in the afternoon, but there wasn't time in the middle of the day unless we wanted to have kids start really early and end really late after school. So we had to come up with an idea based on our facilities to get our seniors into the booths, and came up with a plan to transport our 7 seniors to ACC Round Rock to use their facilities. We are continuing to do that this year, and in the future, as we finish out some new construction at the high school, we'll have some more space where we don't have to do that anymore. But again, if you're planning this program, if you're looking at starting it, there are obstacles and things that come up, challenges that you just have to be really resourceful with your partners to figure out a way to manage and move forward. But that's been a blessing in disguise working at Round Rock. The kids have gotten a lot of great work. In January, we started the internship mentorship program. John can really talk about this. This was his idea in terms of how to facilitate the kids at Athena their senior year in the spring, as they were really transitioning into being candidates for hire. They had a great rotation worked out, and again, that was just based on conversations and regular meetings. And John and his team got together and said, what can we do to make this experience meaningful for the kids that we potentially are going to hire. And then in May, we had our 7 students graduate. So how we operated, kind of put together this last piece for the kids, is we had 3 students out of the 7 that were on track for the associate degree. They passed their TSI English, they passed their TSI math later on, I think junior year, and they were on board to continue classes. Well, our senior year was so busy, what we decided to do is let them focus on the welding classes and their other classes for graduation. And we allowed them to walk at graduation as honorary graduates because they had all their high school credits, but we kept them, we didn't graduate them after our graduation ceremony, so we could continue to pay for their remaining classes at the college. 2 out of the 3 students took, all 3 students took classes in the summer, but 2 of those 3 ended up earning their associate degree from ACC. And again, 6 out of the 7 students are working at Athena. So with the partnership too, Athena has offered to work with our students to continue paying for some of their classes. Again, there's some stipulations there for the kids, but still an opportunity to continue getting college credit and work on their degrees, and that's through our partner. So graduation, we had 7 students go ahead and finish the program with us, and then at the very end of the year, the interviews, the guaranteed interviews with the industry partner, John felt that the interviews were not necessary at that point. They had gotten to know our kids very well. They offered the students positions and at the company, and we actually, at the request of Athena, through a little event at the end of the year for our kids, we called it the signing day. And Athena came to campus along with our leadership and the other students in the program, parents, and we had students up on the stage with their families to sign their contracts or their agreements to work for Athena in a very public event, very celebratory event to kind of cap off the 4 years of work that they had completed to get to that point. So super exciting end of the year last year. I think we have some traditions now in place that will continue moving forward with the program. But this year we're looking at 10 students in our senior class, and we have hit the ground running with that cohort, just like we did last year with the 7 that graduated. So super excited about this year. Can you go to the next slide? one of the things that Workforce wanted us to focus on and talk to you guys all today was some of the work-based learning opportunities that we give our students. I'm just going to give an overview, and then from the planning standpoint, from the high school side, and then our partners are going to talk about some of the things that they've done with our kids. The blueprint asks, or the blueprint lays out work-based learning for campuses to address grade level by grade level, and really grade or age appropriate, right? So your freshmen aren't going to necessarily be doing internships because they're younger, right? They're less mature. They're just kind of starting in the particular pathway. So what we decided to do for the freshmen was really we partnered with Workforce to have our liaison create a lot of information, infographics, PowerPoint presentations that we push to the kids throughout the year, just to learn about the profession in general, opportunities, pay, etc. And then we started last year with all of our freshmen working on OSHA 10, just to get some safety information and training under their belt before they started in the shop. So that was a kind of a slow start for the freshmen, but an appropriate start, I think, for the program. And then as you move throughout sophomore, junior, and senior year, you can see that sophomore year, we try to create opportunities for the kids to meet with professionals and guest speakers. Junior year, we have kids go to Athena and go off site to visit some of the facilities. And then senior year is really that experience through the mentorships and the internships. So maybe we can start, if y'all think, going backwards, talking first about our senior year experience with work-based learning. John or Troy, do you guys want to talk about internships and kind of how we've had that set up at Athena last year?
Sure, just briefly, an internship is a capstone course for our associate degree, or pipe welding certificate. So as part of that, students are they take that course. So we want them, as part of their education is to get some on the job training. So finding partners sometimes to take the students is a challenge, but so that's where working with Athena really made it easy and worthwhile, and just a great company to work with all around. You're muted, John.
There you go. Okay. I think we started mid-January with the internship, and we worked half days on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we teamed up. We broke the students up into different work centers. We have like 7 or 8 different work centers that the students went through and learned the different skill sets that are needed in the manufacturing world, and got a lot of hands-on training. We got to know them. We had some people, mentors for them, and the mentors filled out evaluations on the students. And then after they had been through all of the different work centers, we it's about the end of the year, and they stayed on for I don't know, through the middle of May, and we did a couple more rounds through the shop, and it was just a great. I'm just really pleased with the way this turned out. I thought it was awesome. We got to meet these people and make relationships with them and teach them about work and the skills they needed to do the job, and we were able to make offers to all of the students, and one of them chose to go somewhere else, but 6 out of 7's a great batting average, and they're all still here working with us and doing a great job, and so I just I think this is the best thing I've ever seen a a partnership between education and industry, across high school and a community college, and then the industry. I just think Bobby and Troy did an excellent job. That we're very pleased and want to continue with this program. So
I wanted to add with the internships, John, as we just had our seniors, our juniors this year go to Athena last week and visit. They got a chance from that boardroom to look down at the floor in one of the buildings and see our former graduates working. And that was a pretty cool thing too. I know this past summer, I reached out to John about an opportunity for our freshmen as we kind of jump around with work-based learning. We do summer bridge. And we had talked previously about inviting the parents of our students to the Athena manufacturing building, just so they can kind of get an idea of what their kids are doing, what their kids are going to look at, like, and visit when they go on these trips. And we had a number of parents decide to join this year in the summer on the bus. It was funny when I brought it up to John. John's like, "What day do you want to bring them?" So we went on Monday with the freshmen, and Tuesday the next day we went with our sophomores who were also up there for bridge. And we're up in the big conference room looking out of the windows down at the floor. And it was a really, really cool experience for me too, to see our former students down there working. Like, they weren't our students anymore. They're John's employees. And I felt like we all had a hand in preparing them for that moment. And then our kids looking down at them and making eye contact. It was just a cool thing for our program. And the students got really excited to see Elgin graduates, working, and that's their goal as well over the next 3-4 years. So super excited about that. John, one of the other cool or like really interesting parts of the program, eye-opening, was that first day when we started the internship. You remember that last year when the kids came in with the folders with Amy, and that initial onboarding day. Maybe Amy can talk more about that. I thought that was a pretty eye-opening experience for the kids, and something that we want to work on leading up to that day this year, so they're not as shocked by all the paperwork that goes into becoming a professional.
Amy, please speak to that. I don't remember that.
So on the first day, as Robert mentioned, we have a huge boardroom, and so we have to come in and they have to fill out their W-4s, and it's just a whole lot of paperwork. And you have to go through each one of them, because you have to also realize at the end of the day, and this is me speaking as a parent, is that these are still our children. And so it's really important that you're very hands-on, because they're growing. These seniors, they graduated, and that next month they were in the field working. A lot of kids choose to go to college, and they take that summer off, but these kids went right to work. And it's important to build that partnership with them and their parents and the schools, everyone involved, because it can be very overwhelming. Even when kids right off the street come in, it's overwhelming. You have to go over the paperwork. Maybe you need to send these forms home so your parents can help you or assist you, but you try to make these things make sense for them. Because like I said, at the end of the day, they're still kids. And I think it can be very overwhelming when they're sat down in front of the people that they'll be working for, interning for, and they really don't have a clue as to what they're about to go through. But you want to be hands-on, and you want to be there, and just I don't know where else. But I think this program, I forgot what I was saying. I got lost in translation there. But I also something else I wanted to say earlier when they were talking about the assessment. So these interns also have assessments. We had put them with the mentors, but these assessments are also more based on like the soft skills, the dependability, the punctuation, the communication, their adaptability. We had 6 different work centers, and you're not always going to want to work in those work centers. But what's your attitude? How do you overcome that? All those things are super important. Because even us, like, we don't always want to do, there's something in our job that we don't want to do. Maybe it's something that we kind of, well, I'll wait till the end of the day or do it, or, you know, so it's how they overcome that, the adaptability. So along with also the basic understanding of the job functions, how they're retaining that information and their progression. So this, and we all do that. We go over those assessments one-on-one with them, where they can improve on, where they're excelling at, what they do really well. And that's important to everybody, to all of our employees. And I think it's also really important that we continue to grow these kids and continue to grow this partnership. So, yeah.
Yeah, we met Amy about halfway through our relationship with Athena, as she is in the HR department. And yeah, just every semester there was a new person introduced, and you know, Ernesto Key. Ernest Key is another gentleman that works at Athena, who is, I believe, the operations manager, right, Amy?
Yes.
And he really helped spearhead the internship opportunities with the kids as well. You know, it was just great. The day I asked Amy to talk about it, is all the kids sitting in there and opening up folders, and their eyes got really big, and they didn't know what this paperwork was. And it was like, oh, this is starting. And Ernesto says, hey, you need to be work on time, right? You need to be open to learning new things and listening to your mentors, and your mentors are your bosses on the floor. And that's the expectation. Your phones need to be in your pocket, because it's a dangerous environment with heavy machinery. And it was like the riot act on that first day, and the kids left just like, wow, like it was a lot to take in. So I think every semester, every work-based learning opportunity, every interaction we have with our partners and with the college, you know, from the school side, and we all kind of work on our different lanes, but from the school side, it's always an opportunity for me to work with our assistant principal and our counselor to go, okay, this is what happened today. How can we work at the high school side of things to prepare the kids better for this day, right? So for this year, when our students go in the spring, we're gonna pull them aside. We're gonna talk to them about the paperwork that they're gonna fill out. We're gonna talk about expectations, and you know, just the whole process of being onboarded with a company, which we didn't have that understanding last year because it was the first year. So I think for new school districts, or school districts starting these programs, I think you have to go slow to go fast. Every year we're building on the previous year and some of the things and lessons we took away. But I give a lot of credit to Athena and to Troy for the flexibility and just the planning. That senior year experience has been really exciting for us to see the kids go through. And also John wasn't really, I mean, I don't know if you want to talk more about this too, John. You know, this is a welding program, but the kids weren't at their stations doing just welding. I mean, that was something that you felt was important for them to learn all the different pieces of the company, right? And all the different stations.
Right. We wanted to introduce them to the whole manufacturing process as a generalist, so they got experience and knowledge of what, you know, the whole process of manufacturing, not just welding. So we wanted to be more of a generalist with them in learning about how we cut metal and how we bend metal and how we assemble, you know, the product once it's been welded and powder coated. So we thought that getting an overall view with 7 students, it was going to be a bit difficult to put them in a weld booth all the time, and we felt like having them familiarize themselves with the rest of the manufacturing process would be the best way, you know, because Troy had done a wonderful job teaching them how to weld. So we wanted to show them all the different processes in the manufacturing world. So that's the way we did it. And I think, you know, it worked out well, and we'll probably stick with that plan so that the students get a wide breadth of what has to happen in order for the welder to be successful.
Well, another thing is that we have here with technology, we have our weld cobots. So yes, they did other work centers, but 2 of them were always in a booth. And then we also had one on our weld cobots, and we had one on in our weld robot area too. So out of those work centers, 4 of them were directly related to welding. But then of course we have like our detail and our hardware and other fabrication. But as like I mentioned, as with technology, we're constantly, it feels like adding more and more welding booths or weld robots or the weld cobots. And so we have some really, really, really neat, I don't know, machines going on around here. And so it's neat that they get that opportunity to learn on what's next as far as the weld cobots, programming, and stuff like that.
Prior to the internship, which we just kind of discussed, going backwards from senior year, in the fall and early in the spring, we had Southside Market and Barbecue come in, their HR team. They did a presentation on soft skills to the kids, and they actually gave them an assignment to build their resume and get that going, because this was middle of their senior year going into applying for jobs at Athena. That was a really great experience to have all the kids interviewed, and there was a little panel that Southside sent over to give them that, that get them in the seat, make them feel what that feels like to be interviewed and talk about the skills and answer some common interview questions in preparation for the opportunity that they had upon graduation with John. And then junior year, as the kids get older, we want to start introducing them more to the partner. So we started to do visits once a month. And John designated one of his employees, actually a former ACC graduate, Kyle Naylor, to be our liaison, and that's been great too. So I call John when I need to talk to John about anything, but I think I talked to probably Kyle Naylor a little bit more from the standpoint that he's receiving our kids when they come to visit. And it's nice to have multiple people to be able to call in contact with questions at the partner company. But we start planning the visits in the summer, and we do 1 per month. And like I said, it varies every time we go. Usually it takes the first 2 visits in September, October to look at the entire facility. We go for about 2 hours. And then after that, we go to specific departments. The one that sticks out to me most recently was going to shipping and handling, or the shipping department, which is a new building that they have at Athena. And the director over there, the manager, kind of took the kids through the process of when they get the finished parts, how they get them to the buyers. And there's just so many moving pieces in the building itself. It's not just all welding. So I think our kids are getting a really good view of the entire business, not just one facet of the business. Any other work-based learning opportunities you guys want to bring up? Troy, guest speaking opportunities or anything like Summer Bridge, what you guys did this year with the kids, with the freshmen and sophomores?
We do have a question on the chat from Mr. Kim Anderson, and this is actually a question for John. And he's asking how many years of industry experience you would say would equal out for a graduating senior. So for example, if a student was taking welding courses for 4 years, would it equal out to 1 year of industry experience, 2 years of industry experience? What would kind of that, I guess, experience look like if they're creating their resume, if they're applying to jobs? What would they tell their HR?
Very good question. I'm not sure I know the answer. I would
And
I would put them up to a year anyway. I mean, with all 4 years of training, and if they got in an internship program, I mean, that was that was huge that we were able to bring all those people in and get them acclimated to what work is really like. And they're not hitting the, they didn't just come out of the classroom like I did 100 years ago and go to work. It was, they got some experience in, what it's like to work, what work looks like. So I would say at least 1 year of, um, of 1 year of work, I mean, it could be more than that, but I just, Troy, what, can you help me with that?
Yeah, sure. If they had not done the internship, I would say they would have 0 years of industry experience. What we're teaching at ACC for welding is work-based learning, but there's a big difference between learning how to weld in a welding booth than going onto the shop floor at Athena or any place else. So we're teaching them how to weld. We're teaching them the skill, but they have no idea what it's like to go to work at that point. So they've got some industry-based experience, but actual work experience, unless they do an internship, I would say they don't have any industry experience. Unless they've come from a construction background, unless they've built things in the past. But as far as a high school student goes, who's probably has never worked a job in their life, they don't really know what's going on yet. so they learn it pretty quickly in the internship. And I got to say, I'm real thankful that Athena does put the students at different stations. They don't just stick them in a welding booth or welding booth. They've got to learn the business. They need to learn before you can weld it. You have to prep it. You have to, bevel it and cut it right and everything. There's so much that goes into a welding job before you even make the welds. And so it's really doing those students a great service that you put them around different stations, John. Any other questions on that?
There was another question. I think whoever asked it has to get off the call, but it was about recruitment. So the question, which is, how do you recruit kids to the program? So what we do every month is we go down to our feeder school. We have a small district. We have one high school, one middle school. That will change in the years to come as Elgin is growing pretty rapidly. But we go down to our middle school and we do presentations once a month. We call them an open house for early college and PTECH. And we split our hour of time talking about both programs. We invite all the 8th graders every month. We send a phone blast out and inviting them to come visit, learn more about the program. And we also have a class in the middle school called College and Career Readiness that all of our 8th graders go through. And we use that class as a way to get information to the kids as well, including presentations from myself and some of our partners. We have students go down and present and talk about their experience in the courses. So PTECH, only recruiting at the most 12 students is a little easier now. When we first started the program, we had a hard time getting 12 kids to commit to 4 years of pretty intense welding. But I think the kids that did join and they continue with the program, we were able to highlight all their accomplishments and they had a great experience. So that's the story that's told to the next group of students coming through the middle school. That's what our community members see at graduation with our kids wearing their black gowns from ACC and their stoles that say welding and PTECH. And they hear all the good news about them getting hired. So just like early college when we started, it was a little slow to start, but once I think people in your community and in your school district see the kids in action and they can see kind of how things are paying off, you'll get more students completing the application, more people asking questions about those programs. So that's how we do it. We go every month until March, and we have an open house for both programs, and then we follow up with students and continue working through that CCR class at the middle school.
All right, well, thank you so much for sharing. Yeah. We do have a couple other questions, but Robert, if you want to go ahead and say your contact information in case anybody has any questions after this presentation. And again,
Sure.
we will be sending this out, so in case they didn't get it, they will receive it one way or another.
Sure. Yeah. Again, Robert Block. I'm the principal of ECHS and PTECH for Elgin ISD, also the director of CCMR. There's my office number and my email. Please feel free to contact me if you have any questions or need any help kind of getting started. And then we put our social media tags on there as well. We like to post pictures of the kids in action throughout the year. So check us out. Thank you, Mom.
Awesome. Thank you. So we do have a couple of questions for ACC, Athena, and Elgin ISD, but I just want to open the floor, whoever wants to answer, with what was the catalyst that started this PTECH program? And again, this is open to anybody that wants to answer. John, Amy, Troy, Robert.
I mean, for the school district, on the front end of this program, we already had an ECHS, but PTECH was something new. We already had a pretty well-established welding program at the high school, and this was just an opportunity to, build on that and get kids some college credit. So I think initially our director at the time applied for the grant, and when we got it, I was surprised, but we got the grant and we started rolling with it, and already working with the college to afford students the opportunity to get college credit. This was a new program, new venture for me and for our campus, but we were super excited to get it started. And we already had great partnerships too. I mean, we've been working with ACC for a while, so it all kind of made sense for us to go ahead and apply for the grant and try to get this thing rolling. So have no regrets. It's been great. It's been one of the best programs I've ever worked with so far. So I know Mr. Newman's been doing work on this type of relationship for a long time. And Troy, I don't know if that goes back with you and John too, with the college, earlier than 2018, but it seems like there was a lot of legwork happening already for these types of relationships to get started.
I was kind of a new department chair when Amanda Brantley approached us to create this PTECH. I've been doing it for a couple of years, and I had already decided that one way to reach more welders was to go to the high schools. And so we needed to do more work with the kids at a younger age to just expose them to welding and metalworking in general as a career. And so I was looking for something like this. I had been working with Navarro High School. At that time was Lanier. I've been working with Navarro High School, and was looking for really just kind of, looking for other opportunities. So I'm glad this came up. It's been a great deal.
Thank you so much for sharing. Athena Manufacturing, we actually have a question for you. As an employer, what was your motivation to begin a partnership with Elgin ISD?
Amy, are you prepped to answer this, or you want me to take it?
I think you should take it, because I know you've been advocating for internships and apprenticeships through TWC and ACC for a long time. I mean, not just through the welding program, but other like our machining, logistics. So go ahead.
Sure. One of our customers was the original employer that was slated to do this, and their company sold, and so they recommended us to be the new employer, and I was very interested in doing it. Didn't know what was going on prior to that, but we have some great jobs for people here and kids just don't know that manufacturing exists. They don't. I certainly didn't, and I just think that it's just a well-kept secret, that there are all these manufacturing jobs available in Central Texas. And so we were all in, and it has been the best thing as I've said it previously in this call, it's the best thing I've ever seen for industry and education working together and putting people to work with really good jobs right out of high school. They've got no debt. They have an opportunity to get an associate's degree. And you know, the school system has just done a wonderful job, and I'm just very, very pleased with it. You know, what value does it add, you know, to your company? It gets me welders so I can make product. You know, that's, without welders, I mean, I've got 5 robots, but you know, they're run by some of these students that you know, came through this program, and so I just think this thing is awesome. You know, I mean, I just don't know why we don't do this all over, and you know, I'm really very happy to be part of it.
Another thing, so what this internship has done for us, we're looking at expanding our internships, not only working with Elgin, but possibly other high schools. And we were with a company last week to bring apprenticeships and new training programs here to Athena. So it's been a game changer for us, I feel like.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think slowly but surely students are starting to realize how great of an industry manufacturing is, and, you know, welding in general. I still get a couple kind of confused looks when I talk about welding or manufacturing, because students don't really know too much what it is, but I think just starting here, and this is definitely helping to bridge that gap. So Troy, how can students continue their educational pathway with Austin Community College after PTECH? Let's say they want to go into and get an associate's degree, or they just want to go to some type of college, or maybe even a 4-year university, if that's even possible. But how can they continue their educational pathway with ACC specifically, if they want to continue gaining more certifications or just gaining more credentials and, you know, get more stuff under their belt?
Yeah, sure. If they don't finish their associate degree while they're in high school, man, they are really close. They only have a few classes left. So they're going to come back at some point and finish their associate degree with us. We encourage them to, because they really, they probably have 4, maybe 5 classes to go tops to get their associate degree with us. And then recently, ACC has added a Bachelor's of Advanced Manufacturing at ACC. So a student can come and drop all of their welding classes into this bachelor's program. They can drop their entire associate degree into this Bachelor's of Advanced Manufacturing, and then finish a bachelor's degree, you know, at community college prices, which is pretty fantastic, I think. And probably finish with very little or no debt also with that. So it does transfer. And also our classes are used. Texas State has a program, the ALS, Occupational Workforce Leadership, I think that's what it is, has a program. They'll take all of our welding classes as part of their professional development component. So there are other opportunities to get education, and the students are so close at that point. And they probably have more confidence now because they've taken some classes, they've passed some classes, they understand what's involved, they know what it's like to go to work. And so finish, you know, having a bigger education, I guess, or a greater education definitely opens up doors for them. They can continue to get with us, they'll get at least 2 level 1 certificates, which is a badge. It's a resume builder. It's, you know, shows an employer they've completed at least some formal training. And I think that's valuable. And then with ACC, they also, when they come through our program, they take American Welding Society certification tests, welding certification tests. And they're difficult, and not everybody passes them, but the ones that do get them, you know, walk with a little bit of a swagger when they go into the door at Athena, because they know that they at least pass this welding test, and they can at least you know, weld correctly. Yeah, so it's kind of we try to have an encouraging learning environment. You know, we talked about work-based learning. I think with ACC Welding, we teach with the work-based learning goal, and all of my welding teachers have years of welding experience. Not one of them was a teacher before they were a welder. So they've all got 15, 20 to 30 years of experience, some of them. So in their classes, they make students be on time. They can't be on their phone. They have to pay attention. They have to ask questions. You know, we try to incorporate work-based learning into our curriculum in general. And yeah, appreciate it.
I wanted to comment on ACC's new 4-year program. We enrolled the Kyle Naylor is the guy that has kind of ramrodded this program through for us, and he started that class or started that program back in August, at the end of August, and he's doing well and very well in the class, which I would expect. He's a sharp guy, and I'm just really pleased that that's there. That's something we need to communicate to the kids, market to the kids that, you know, they can get 2 years paid for by the high school, you know, so they can get the associate's degree and have 2 years under their belt with zero debt, and then you know, just follow right into the 4-year program and get a 4-year program, you know, by the time they're 20, with very little debt. You know, if they can find the right company that'll pay for their college, you know, then they get out with zero debt, and it may take them 4 years because they'll be working and going to school, but you know, that's a huge deal. And not having to start with, you know, $100,000 of debt that you've got to pay off is huge financially. And you know, I'm just so happy that ACC put that in their curriculum, and with all the different, you know, fantastic companies that have come to Central Texas, you know, Tesla, Applied Materials, you know, Samsung, Dell. I mean, there's just so many great places to work, and, you know, getting a degree, and by the time you're 22 or so with zero debt is just a huge benefit to these young people that, you know, I think we really are doing a disservice if we don't tell them, you know, and market that as part of this program. So wanted to bring that up and make sure we get that across.
Yeah, and I definitely agree. And I love that ACC gives that opportunity to students to keep growing and to keep building their skills. They don't have to stop just because they finished high school and they have a couple of certifications. They can keep, you know, going and get their associates and eventually their bachelor's, which again, like you said, it's amazing that they probably will come out with zero or very little debt. All right, and then to finish off our panelist question, this one's for Mr. Block. What advice do you have for incoming freshmen who are interested in the PTECH welding program? What tips do you have for them to be successful, to continue through all 4 years? And like everyone was saying, you know, go through the process of building their skill sets and eventually, you know, finding a really amazing company to work for and, you know, hopefully make pretty good money.
Yeah, I mean, I think when we talk to the students at the 8th grade level, and as we continue throughout the program, it's just, you know, an eagerness to learn and ask questions. I think especially 8th grade students, 9th grade students, when they, you know, in front of a professor, or if they go to a work-based learning visit, they're traditionally quiet, right? They're kind of taking it in. But I think the interesting part about PTECH, opposed to like a regular elective class, is they're spending half their day pretty much welding. It's a big chunk of their school day, and they have access to you know, a professor with industry experience. They have access to partners to ask questions, to learn about their future profession. So the kids that are joining our program in Elgin, from the front end, typically most of them have like someone in their family that they know is a welder, or they've been exposed to it in some way, shape, or form. And they've made the decision on the front end of high school to really pursue a professional welding career. So all this conversation kind of coming back to the fact that we're paying for their classes. They're getting experience outside of a traditional high school classroom, which is fantastic for them to take into an interview and be able to speak about some of the experiences and things that they've done. I just think they need to, put their head down, go to work. And I think, that's a lesson we're talking to Troy and our professors is communicated every day. So being on time, right? The soft skills, they're teaching the hard skills, but we're also teaching the soft skills at the same time with each experience. And I think it gives the kids a definite leg up if they're engaged in the process from start to finish. And they're open to that new learning in those conversations. So far, so good. All of our students that I've talked to, Troy, I ran into one of our students, Gerardo, recently at a football game, and my man is super excited and grateful and thankful, and gave me a hug in the parking lot and just said, I'm just so happy that I did the program. And those are the moments as an educator that you live for, like the conversation after the fact, right? During it, he might not even understood the benefits to what he was doing, but now that he's working with John and Athena, he's an adult. He has a career ahead of him and opportunities. That's the exciting part. So I think the advice would just be stick with it, right? Keep asking questions, keep learning. I think we're all always trying to learn more and more, and it'll turn out in your favor at the end if you are able to stay with the program and continue following that path. So good things.
We need to have Gerardo market the program for you, and come back and talk to all your classes. I think that'd be, they don't want to listen to me. They'd much rather listen to a young person that just got finished with the program and sees the benefits. That's huge selling point that we should not leave unattended.
So what I heard, John, is that you just approved a half day for Gerardo.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sure. Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Come on, man.
All right. No worries. Yep.
I agree with you. I think we want to have them all come back and talk throughout the year for sure.
All right. Any last comments or questions? Let me check the chat if anybody has any questions.
Monica, as far as the last question about advice for new programs, I just think schools that are interested in starting this program, again, just going back to being flexible and really focus on building that relationship with your partners and throwing around ideas to find the best one that works to really satisfy the needs of the program. Both Athena and ACC have bent over backwards at times to make things work when it didn't look like it was going to work or fit into the schedule, or getting them from point A to point B. I mean, we've had all sorts of things that we've had to kind of stop and think about and restructure that's non-traditional for a high school. So go slow, I said to go fast, and also be transparent with your stakeholders too, your parents, if you're starting a program. I think one of the things we always did at our meetings and working with parents is talking about, we know this year what this year looks like and is going to feel like for your kids, and next year as we build the program, we might not have all the answers right now, but that's part of building a program from the ground up. So that first class was a very important class for us. That was our guinea pig class to test out some of the ideas and see the program through. So transparency is huge with your parents, with your partners, everyone that's on board. So that's what's got us to this point.
Yeah. And parents probably most of the time have more questions than the students and are probably more interested than the students. So yeah, definitely looping in the parents. I think that's great advice. I don't see any questions on the chat, but but they do have your contact information in case anybody has any questions after the presentation. They can go ahead and reach out to us at Workforce Solutions and we can pass along the information, or they can contact you directly. So we'll go ahead and wrap up. Just some other announcements and just some resources that we have. We have our Rework Now program. Oh, yeah, we have our Rework Now program. This is available for for adults, so 18 and above. So this is a great program to start announcing to your students. It is kind of like a free scholarship. So they do offer free training in skilled trades, healthcare, IT. They do have to go through an application process, but we have that available on our website so students can start the process of applying. Then we do have our career exploration website. Like Jessica mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, we have our career profile. So she showed one in welding, but again, we have 100 other occupations available. So maybe welding is not something that your student is interested. We have other ones in construction, arts and humanities. And I see that Jessica put our website on the chat in case you want to check those out. And then if your student is interested in meeting one-on-one with me or the other career and education outreach specialists who serves Manor, Elgin, and Pflugerville, like I said, I serve Austin and Del Valle. They can go ahead and make a one-on-one appointment with us. We can meet in person, virtually. We can come to your class and do a presentation. So we are available for that. But mainly for students that have any questions or that are just stuck and they want to figure out what they want to do post-secondary. That is where you can find us and where either you or your student can make an appointment with us. So next slide. So we have our upcoming K through 12 work group meetings. So our next one is November 16 and it is in person. It is our Registered Apprenticeship Building Trades Day. Then we have one for December 6th, where we will be exploring the sheet metal worker, and the rest of them will be virtual. So our next one will be February 7th and then April 4th. I think we have a flyer for our Registered Apprenticeship Building Trades Day. Again, it will be November 16th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. It will be alongside Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Local 286. So if you're interested, please go ahead and register and get your seat. There is a link right there, and we can also put it on the chat. Jessica went ahead and put it. And if you have any questions on the event or just anything in general, please feel free to contact us at case-12awareness@wfscapitalarea.com. And please connect with us. We are on YouTube. Again, this video will be on YouTube, and then you can see our past webinars in healthcare and other skill trades webinars that we have our YouTube channel, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We update and we put out any flyers or brochures, anything that's going on that we feel that we need to promote to our job seekers and our students. And our handle is at WFS Capital Area. And like I said, if you have any questions, our email address is on there and our website. And I think Jessica put it on the chat as well, if you want to go ahead and just click it. But other than that, I think that is it. Thank you so much for joining us. I know I learned a lot of great things, and I'm sure the attendees were, pretty interested in this, and they really enjoyed hearing more about the program. I think it's amazing and a really awesome opportunity for students to get started. And like you said, they're going to be 23 years old with so much experience, so many skills, and they're just going to keep growing and, become really awesome employees. So thank you so much to Robert, Troy, John, and Amy for joining us, and everyone else who attended. Again, if you have any questions, please email us, or you can email Mr. Block if you have any questions after this presentation.